Zero vector. Welcome, everyone. As we dive deeper into our study of vector algebra, you'll find that we encounter various types of vectors, each categorized by their specific properties, such as magnitude and direction. Today, we are going to focus on one of the most fundamental, yet uniquely interesting concepts in this field, the zero vector. As we move through this lesson, we will explore exactly what makes this vector so special compared to the ones you are already familiar with. Understanding the concept. Now that we've introduced the topic, let's dive deeper into what a zero vector actually is. To grasp this concept, we first need to revisit our fundamental understanding of a standard vector. Usually, when we think of a vector, we visualize it as a directed line segment, essentially an arrow that starts at one specific location, which we call the initial point, and moves toward another location, known as the terminal point. However, the zero vector, which you might also hear referred to as the null vector, is a very special, unique case. In this instance, the starting point and the ending point are not different. They are the exact same point. Think about what that implies physically. If you start at a point and end at that very same point without moving, there is simply no displacement between the start and the finish. This lack of movement is exactly why the magnitude, as we will discuss in the next slide, ends up being zero. Mathematical representation and notation. Now that we have established the conceptual idea that a zero vector occurs when there is no movement between 2 points, let's look at how we actually write this down in mathematical notation. First, we need a specific symbol to represent this concept so we don't confuse it with other vectors. We denote the zero vector using a 0 with a small arrow on top of it, which we pronounce as vector 0. To see how this works in practice, let's apply the rule we discussed in the previous slide regarding initial and terminal points. Suppose we have a point, let's call it point A, located somewhere in space. If we create a vector that starts at point A and ends at that very same point A, we write this as vector A to A. Because there is no distance traveled, this is mathematically equal to vector 0. This principle applies universally. It doesn't matter which point you choose. If we take any point B and create a vector that starts at B and ends at B, we write vector B to B, which also equals vector 0. As we will see in the next slide, this lack of distance is exactly why the magnitude of this vector is always 0. Key properties of the zero vector. Now that we have established the notation for the zero vector, let's dive into what actually makes it so unique. As we saw in the previous slides, the zero vector is a special case where the start and end points are identical. Because of this, the zero vector possesses two unique characteristics that distinguish it from all other vectors you have studied. First, let's look at its magnitude. Now, remember that the magnitude, or the length of any vector, is simply the distance between its initial point and its terminal point. But as we just discussed, in a zero vector, these 2 points coincide. They are the exact same spot. Therefore, there is no distance to measure. Mathematically, we express this by saying the magnitude of the zero vector, written as the magnitude of zero vector, which is equal to the absolute value of the zero vector, equals 0. Next, let's consider the second characteristic, direction. Usually, a vector's direction is defined by the path or the heading from the starting point to the ending point. However, because there is no distance between the points in a zero vector, there is no path to follow. Consequently, a zero vector does not have a specific, definite direction. In your studies, you can describe this as having an undefined direction. Alternatively, when you are performing more complex mathematical operations later on, you can think of it as having an arbitrary direction. This simply means that, mathematically, it can be treated as being parallel to any other vector you might encounter. This lack of movement is exactly what we will see in our real-world example in the next slide. Real-world example, stationary displacement. Now that we have covered the mathematical definition and the properties of magnitude and direction, let's move away from abstract notation and look at a real-world example to help you visualize this concept. To do this, we will look at a physical quantity called displacement, which, as we know from our previous discussion, is a vector quantity because it involves both distance and direction. Let's walk through a specific scenario. Imagine a car parked inside a garage. Our goal is to determine the displacement vector of this car over a period of exactly 1 hour. To find this, let's follow a step-by-step breakdown. First, we identify the initial point. At time 0, let's say the car is at a specific position, which we will call position P. Next, we identify the terminal point. After 1 hour has passed, we observe the car. Since the car has remained parked and hasn't moved at all, it is still at that exact same position, P. Now we determine the vector. Since displacement is the vector from the starting position to the ending position, we represent this as the vector from P to P, written as P arrow P. Finally, we reach our conclusion. Because the starting and ending points are identical, the displacement is a zero vector, denoted as zero vector. In terms of the properties we discussed in the previous slide, the magnitude of this movement is 0 kilometers, and because there was no movement, there is no specific direction of travel. This perfectly illustrates how a vector can exist even when no physical distance has been covered. Key takeaways. All right, let's bring everything we've discussed today together. This slide serves as a summary of the key takeaways regarding the zero vector, so I want you to pay close attention to these points as they are fundamental for your upcoming assessments. First, let's revisit the definition. Remember, a zero vector is specifically defined as a vector where the initial point and the terminal point coincide, meaning they are exactly the same point. In terms of notation, we don't use a standard letter. Instead, we represent it with a 0 and a small arrow on top, which we pronounce as vector 0. Next, looking at its properties, the magnitude, or the length, is always equal to 0. This makes sense because there is no distance between the start and end points. As for direction, as we explored in our previous slides, the direction is considered either undefined or arbitrary, because there is no path being traveled. Finally, to keep these concepts fresh, remember our examples. We can write this as vector A to A or vector B to B, or simply think back to our real-world scenario of the displacement of a stationary object. Now, before we wrap up, I want to highlight one very important distinction in our final slide to ensure you don't fall into a common trap. Common mistakes to avoid. Now, before we wrap up today's lesson, I want to highlight a very important point to ensure you don't lose marks in your exams. This is a common pitfall that even advanced students sometimes fall into, confusing the scalar 0 with the zero vector. It is a very common error for beginners to treat the number 0, which is a scalar, and the zero vector, denoted as vector 0, as if they are the exact same thing. However, they are fundamentally different. You must remember that the scalar 0 is simply a magnitude, it is just a single number. On the other hand, as we discussed in our earlier slides, the zero vector is a geometric object that exists within a vector space, possessing its own unique properties like the ones we just covered. When you are working through algebraic equations, you must be very disciplined. Always ensure you use the proper vector notation, vector 0, when you are performing vector addition or subtraction. This is crucial to maintain mathematical consistency. For example, if you take vector A and subtract vector, the result is vector 0, not just the number 0. Keeping this distinction clear will help you avoid errors in more complex vector operations later in the course.